Hey everybody, welcome to Did You Hear About This? I'm Bill.
I'm Scott.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm a little under the weather, as you can tell. That's why you're sitting so far away from me.
Yeah, I need to have like a hazmat suit on and look like one of the CIA guys from E.T. just walking around.
Yeah, I feel like a dying E.T., so that's a perfect thing to say.
No, I'm doing really well. I'm enjoying some playoff baseball right now. It's October, and Phillies are in it, but they won't have to play until Saturday.
Yeah, I used to follow baseball a lot. Now, the only baseball news I get is when somebody dies.
Well, R.I.P. Pete Rose.
R.I.P. Pete Rose. That's heavy, man. Pete Rose was huge to me as a kid.
Pete Rose was possibly the best baseball player around. 4,300 some odd hits, most hits of any player ever in baseball. As a person, he may have been the biggest dirtbag.
Yeah, because of the gambling?
Yeah, because of the gambling, but then because of the lying about the gambling, and then because of the continued lying about the gambling, knowing he wasn't going to get into Cooperstown, still showing up in Cooperstown every year on Hall of Fame weekend to do like autograph signings and just like throw it in people's faces as like an anti-supporter of the whole thing. Like just dickhead things like that.
Oh, I like it.
You would definitely enjoy the animosity that he tried to bring with him.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that.
Oh, every year. Yeah.
Do you think now that there's like betting everywhere, there's DraftKings and all kinds of different gambling isn't so bad. Now, what he did is still
But gambling as a player or as a manager, as anyone involved in the sport, is still the biggest offense. Dude, there's people in baseball that have killed people and still made it to the Hall of Fame.
All right, so that's what I was going to ask. Do you think he's ever going to get to the Hall of Fame?
I don't. At this point, I don't think anybody's going to walk it back.
No.
I think that punishment is going to go with him, well, past his death. I don't think it's ever going to be walked back.
I did hear some people saying he's one of the greatest. Who's the greatest baseball player in our generation? Like people that we grew up with and would know. Don't say like Babe Ruth.
Like right in our, well, here's more people that probably will never make the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, the steroid era.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
They're not in either.
Pete Rose and the steroid era of baseball were two scandals I was going to bring up about our 80s and 90s scandal show, even though I think the home run title battle with the steroids was early 2000s. But yeah, those were big sports-based scandals.
I barely remember that. The only thing I still know about baseball is the little bit of times that I still listen to the Howard Stern show and Nails. You know what Nails is?
No.
Lenny Dykstra. Nails.
Oh, I know they call him Nails.
He's tough as nails. He wants to be called Nails. He's got a voice like this.
Yeah.
And he's nuts. He's fucking nuts. Like the things he says on the Howard Stern show. I don't know how he's not getting press for the dirty, filthy, awful sexual things that he's saying.
Didn't he pass away now?
No, he's still alive.
Really?
He was just on the other day.
Oh, no shit. I thought Lenny Dykstra passed on.
Yeah, Lenny Dykstra. He was with the Phillies, and then he went to, the Mets?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, I barely remember any of this.
Yeah.
Baseball for me, when they went on strike in 93, I was all in. I was like a big-time fan.
Yeah.
Once they went on strike, I don't know. Something happened. I just said, no, I don't need baseball in my life, and I never went back. That was a dangerous move for them because I got to think that a lot of people didn't go back.
I'll tell you, of all the sports, baseball is my favorite, but it's definitely the biggest time sink ever. 162-game season, pretty much on every single night of the week. If you want to watch it, I probably watch baseball every night.
They ever have like a Dennis Rodman, like a real wacky guy? Crazy hair.
Not so, we had John Rocker back in like the early 2000s. He was like the racist guy.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. Who's that other guy? We had him on the Phillies. Kruk.
Kruk does the play-by-play now for the Phillies home games.
Oh, he's a little out
He's
there.
fantastic.
Is he?
Yeah, but there's like eccentric, like quirky people like that. All pitchers are pretty much nut jobs.
Well, I don't know a bigger nut job in sports than Dennis Rodman. Oh, the greatest story is when he got caught in bed with another girl. And
she just fell out of the ceiling was his claim.
Yes, Carmen Electra comes walking in, sees him in bed with a girl, and she yells at him. She's like, I guess like she storms out of the room, and he comes out later, and she goes, I saw you in bed with that girl. He goes, wasn't me.
Well, yeah, he was Shaggy.
Wasn't me.
She fell out of the ceiling. I don't know how she got there.
I don't know how she got there.
Well, everybody, please remember, like, subscribe, yada, yada, all of that. We've had a really explosive growth in the last week.
Yeah.
So either you guys have actually been telling people which is great. Keep on doing it. It's got to be what it was.
And I hope it was the con. I hope you conned a friend into listening.
That's right, the con.
Hey, I heard something really crazy on this podcast. You should listen to it. I want to talk to you about it later.
Do it some more, guys. Thank you so much. You tripled our numbers this week.
Yeah, no lie. Great to see.
Well, I got some mailbag. Really, I got a review. More than just a letter in, it was a review of our show. Somebody wanted to tell us what they thought. I think this could be our new banner. Like, when we tell people about the show, people say, well, what's the show like? Here it is, quote, stupid, yet strangely satisfying. I mean,
I couldn't have given a better review.
Tell me that's not the perfect review for us.
This is like when they had that Megalopolis with all like the fake placeholder reviews that were like shit talking.
Yeah.
Like, listen to these two dumb fucks.
We're going to talk about Megalopolis a little later.
Oh, boy.
We got the news as usual. We're going to riff through some interesting news stories of the week. Hollywood, showbiz, retro pop culture news, all the things you guys tune in for. But we're also going to talk about a topic we kind of touched on last week and said, oh, this could be a good show.
Yeah, we tickled your ass last week talking about 80s, 90s, intellectual properties, franchises, things that really haven't been touched that might just be ripe for a redo.
Right. So I picked 5. You picked 5.
I actually came up with 6.
Oh, we don't know if we have any that are similar or the same, rather.
There were things that I came up with, and I was like, oh, they just did this. Oh, they fucked with that already. So there were very few that weren't untarnished with like recent attempts at remakes.
You want to jump right into it?
Yeah, so let's do it.
All right. This will be fun. I like my list. I actually think, if I was a producer in Hollywood and you were putting a gun to my head and you said, you got to bring back some 80s franchises, I got a good list, even though I'm not a huge fan of the idea of bringing back a lot of these 80s franchises because we've seen the track record.
And this all came up through our conversation last week of the potential of bringing back RoboCop.
Right.
And that was your final story. And you said you would love to have RoboCop come back because you feel like none of the sequels or anything else ever did it justice.
Right.
So I thought, would be. I'd be on board for RoboCop. So RoboCop off the table.
Off the table. All right. Shit. Now I only have 4. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, unless. All right. So you want me to go first? You want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
All right. First one I have, Batman the Animated Series.
They are kind of doing that right now, aren't they?
No, not as good as Batman the Animated Series. I like the art style. I like the dark stories. I don't feel like there is anything as good as Batman the Animated Series right now.
We're talking the Matt Reeves one on Max. You don't think that's...
Is there something happening right now?
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. You don't know about it.
But it's not Kevin Conroy. I mean, R.I.P. It's not Mark Hamill.
No, but it's in that same exact, what style is that? It's like noir.
It's Art Deco.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing it right now?
Yeah. And it's made by Matt Reeves, who did the last Batman movie with the kid from Twilight.
Yeah.
And I tried to watch it because I loved the animated series. And you could see how much it's trying to remind you of that, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's a little bit, it's almost like Warner Brothers saw what X-Men just did.
Yes.
And said, let's do that real quick. I'm sure they weren't coordinated in this. I'm sure this was Matt Reeves and Max, because it's airing
They're always
on Max.
trying to cash in late.
Yeah. But, I mean, they put it out. I tried to watch. I was like, I'm not that into this one. Let's give it another episode. I'm still not into it. It doesn't have the same magic.
Well, there's a fuck-uppery. Now I have 5.
Oh, it's so funny. You didn't know that existed.
I had no idea that there was this. Yeah, I mean, I haven't had Max for about a year now, and I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I wasn't going to watch Velma, but I didn't know they had a animated Batman on right now.
Yeah, it's not great.
Damn.
Not great. It looks like the 90s. His ears are longer. I don't know why they opted for longer ears. He looks like
Batman Beyond.
No, more like the older 40s, 50s. When Batman first came out, he was
the
even
black bat on his chest?
Everything else is like 90s Batman, except his ears are a little longer, yeah.
That's a weird art style. All right, well, and here's the thing. As I was making this list, as much as I'd like to see this happen right now, I still, in the back of my head, have that, just leave it alone. You know? Like, I don't like the idea of doing these things. But if I had, like you said, gun to my head, if I had to pick some franchises, these would be the ones that I think would have a chance if done right.
I just read the other day that they're trying to reboot Cheers in Britain. Like, that's
Really?
another thing. Stop bringing our shit back. That one definitely doesn't need a comeback.
I'd still rather see Cheers than see another Office.
Oh, I know. They're going to be doing Office shows till the end of time.
All right, what's your first one?
All right, my first one is The Lost Boys.
Yeah, good one.
Lost Boys. So what was it? Santa Carla, right? Isn't that where it took place in California?
Santa Carlita?
Yeah, something like that. But like, there's vampires there.
Yeah.
They didn't get them all. There's plenty
no.
of stories to be told there. There's still vampires in Santa Carla. So if I got to write her Carlita,
Well, either way.
Santa Claus. But I'd be interested to see more stories from like that haunted part of California.
So the story writes itself.
I mean, I don't know how many people are still alive. I know Corey Feldman's still alive. I know the mom is still alive. Kiefer Sutherland is still alive.
Yeah.
I can't remember who else was in it. Corey Haim, he's gone.
Corey Haim's gone, yeah. I
And
was
then
going to say that's still alive. I can't think of any.
Patrick, what's that Patrick guy? Remember, he had like he was almost a star for a minute. He was in Speed 2. Damn it, I'm blanking on that guy's name. And then there was another Frog brother who I don't think he ever turned into anything in Hollywood.
Oh, the Frog Brothers, yeah. All right, I mean, I could very much see that working.
Yeah, I could see that would work too. It's like in the world of the Lost Boys, here's some more Lost Boys stories. I wouldn't get offended at that. For some reason, that one I'll approve if Hollywood wants to bring it back.
Approve.
They don't check with me. I ask them to check with me, but they don't.
I agree. I could see that working well. I would not be offended by that. In sort of the similar vein, Monster Squad.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that.
Now, the only thing I thought of when writing down Monster Squad was, would it just be a present-day Stranger Things?
Well, it's not the same tone. If they brought the same tone and the same popular monsters.
Yes, here's what I want. I want Universal monsters. I want Universal to put this out. I want it to be Frankenstein. I want it to be Frankenstein's monster. I want it to be Dracula. I want it to be Creature from the Black Lagoon. I want it to be Wolfman.
Yeah.
I want it to be the Universal monsters with a group of kids. And not necessarily a reboot, maybe a continuation of a similar story.
Here's the problem with that. Those kids were so young. A lot of times, young kids grow into really ugly adults. So it's like, let's bring everybody back.
Oh, no, it doesn't have to be a continuation of the story. It could be a whole new cast of characters, but, you know.
But the same monsters.
The same monsters. The monsters are the draw for this, not the kids. Wolfman do have nards, though. We did learn that very valuable lesson.
All right. Yeah, I could probably get into that. I could probably get it. I'm not sure I want to see that original cast old because, you know, they haven't been working for years.
No, I don't necessarily want the kids back. Like, they could be gone. But the whole idea that Frankenstein's monster was the good guy that aligned with the kids and helped fight off the bad guy of Dracula. And then, like, Wolfman was just there almost as like a pawn of Dracula, and then he got shot with a silver bullet. And but there's not more than one Wolfman. I mean, if a Wolfman bites somebody, there's another Wolfman.
That's right.
That's how lichens work.
You know what? I think you're right on that one. I would approve that. I would approve that. They came to me and they said, we want to do this again. I'd be like, okay. Fred Decker directed that. I remember he was a 80s director, and it was written by the guy who, Bill, come on, man. Get this guy's right. Get this guy's name right. He did Iron Man 3. He wrote The Predator. Shane Black.
Oh, good grab. I never would have come up with that. Yeah.
Yeah, he has massive misses, but great hits. Like, there's no middle ground with this guy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Monster Squad was not a huge hit, but it had a big cult following. It became a big cult hit.
Right.
Over time.
Right. I think it was kind of a flop that grew.
Yeah.
I remember the commercials.
First time I saw it was on HBO.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember the trailer. Like, I remember going, oh, wow, monsters. Wow, and kids.
I forgot the Mummy was there.
Mummy, right. He was there. Yeah, so there was 5.
There were 5. Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Mummy, Wolfman.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'll allow it.
Green light.
My next one is Short Circuit. Now, I know we did a Short Circuit 2, which was terrible.
But it came right after.
Yeah.
It's been decades since Short Circuit.
I think it would be interesting to see what that fucker's been up to. You know,
Johnny Five?
Yeah. What's he been doing? You think he's just, as smart as he is, has he just been like a robot, like working on an assembly line? Or has he been bringing AI to the masses? Like, what has he done to change? Wally did a lot to change the world. What did Johnny Five do? I want to know.
Great question.
Input. More input.
In your proposed Short Circuit 3, will there be Indian blackface?
Oh, that's right. Fisher Stevens?
Yeah.
That was wrong.
Oh, her pants are blazing for you, Newton Crosby.
Nobody cared back then. How would they address that now? Could they get Steve Guttenberg back?
Could they get Steve Guttenberg, and would Camille Nanjiani, who plays every Indian role in every American film, is that who we have as the designer, the programmer?
Maybe. He's got a monopoly on all.
I'm sorry, I think it's Kamal Nanjiani.
I don't know anybody's name, so I definitely don't know that. But I know the face. Yeah, he's funny.
Circuit. Yeah, he's hilarious. He's actually in the current season of Only Murders.
Don't tell me that. I'm still on season 3. Is his star kind of falling a bit? Like, he had that bit part in Ghostbusters, the last Ghostbusters, The Frozen Empire.
Yeah, the biggest thing he did for me, Silicon Valley.
Oh, he's so funny in that.
So funny.
He actually had a movie. Like, it got so big for him that he did this movie and the movie bombed. Just didn't do well.
Really?
But I remember it was like a romantic comedy or something. I remember seeing it and liking it. And I was like, oh, this guy might be, on the slipstream to stardom here, and then just kind of bit parts here and there.
Oh, he was in the Eternals.
Yeah. Yeah, one of 100 superheroes.
But he got like jacked for this role. And I was like, oh, he must be a big deal. Nope.
That's the worst. You work out for a year and then you never get to have, come back and play that character again. You did that all for just one movie. And when that movie bombs, oof.
Yeah. All right, my next one here, and this one hurts. Back to the Future.
No. Veto.
Hardcore against it?
Hardcore against it.
Now, there is currently a Back to the Future stage show on Broadway.
No.
Yeah. Will went to go see it from 1980s Now. Says it's really good.
Is it a musical?
I don't know if it's a musical, but all I remember him talking about was how good the stage props were. They actually have like a DeLorean on the stage.
Was the music the same music from the movie?
Great question.
Huey Lewis?
No
songs?
idea. No idea. The other thing I have here is that isn't Rick and Morty kind of a perverted homage to Back to the Future?
Supposedly. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard, that it was like a parody of Doc Brown and Marty.
So you're against it just because you're not going to have Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox.
Right. Michael J. Fox, both of them are just incredibly dynamic. I was watching The Frighteners again.
Yeah.
And it's like, I couldn't notice this when I was a kid, but now that I'm older with adult eyes, it's like, wow, Michael J. Fox has really grown up. Like, you see how his face has changed, like a normal, like 25, 20, 30-year-old's face would change versus a younger, Marty McFly baby face. And it's like, he's still great. He still has so much charisma, even though he's kind of maturing. But after The Frighteners, it kind of ended for him, didn't it? He did that office show, or the mayor show for a minute. Remember, he was on a TV show? Yeah,
he was the assistant, or the deputy mayor next to Barry, what's his name, from Rocky Horror.
Yeah. Spin City.
That was it was a good show.
I remember he did some movie with Joan Jett. I remember he did
really?
Yeah, Big Night City or something. Bright Lights, Big City.
Maybe I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, he was in a bunch of things that I know I didn't see because they just weren't my style. But then he went away. And I was watching his Frighteners the other day going, how the fuck did this guy go away? He's so good. So yeah, if you try to do Back to the Future now without him, I just can't stomach that.
What if we have Back to the Future 4 with Emmett Brown's sons, Jules and Vern, who are on the train at the end of part 3, and Biff's going to be there.
I wish that train crashed into a mountain.
You wish the real train got hit by a real train. Like it did at the end of part 3.
Yeah. I don't want to see Jules and Vern.
Fuck Jules and Vern.
Like, that's exactly what a producer
I know.
would go in and say, well, just make a movie about Jules and Vern. Okay.
So my problem with coming up with a list for this is that everything I thought of has already been fucked up by a remake.
Oh, see, I got 3 here that are perfect.
All right, let's hear the next one.
You want my next one? The Last Starfighter. 1984's The Last Starfighter. Do you remember this movie?
Yeah, they used a video game to test who would be a great starship pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they came down to Earth. They grabbed the kid who was so good at the arcade game. They took him up and he became a starship pilot.
Starship commander.
What kind of adventures did he have?
Just one mission?
I hope there's a plethora of adventures that we should hear about. I want to know, did he come with all the video games out there now? Are they still training kids on Earth to become pilots?
That's a great question. Video games got better.
Yeah.
Starship technology had to have gotten better.
Absolutely.
Do you think this would be a sequel, a continuation story, maybe just a story in the same universe, or a complete reboot?
I'd love to have a story in the same universe. I think the guy's name was Lance Guest, who played the main character.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think he's been in Hollywood forever, but
now he's the trainer. He's the recruiter.
Okay. That way he doesn't have to talk very much. He's out of practice. His acting is not probably the same.
Exactly. He's going to be like the role of the police sergeant in like all those cop movies. He's just bringing people into his office.
Yeah.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
He's the one creating all the video games. He's the one grooming all the
like a groomer. Oh my God. What kind of movie is this?
I want to see it.
All right. I'm for it. I approve that one.
All right.
Approved.
Gremlins.
Yes. I thought we talked about this on air. We talked about it.
No, I talked about it afterwards.
Yeah. There's plenty more to do with Gremlins.
So much more to do in Gremlins.
Did you like the second movie?
I didn't hate the second movie. Was the vegetable gremlin needed? No. Was electronic gremlin needed? No.
Oh, electric.
Was the
Gremlin.
sexy?
Oh, yeah.
Was the sexy gremlin needed?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Oh, not. No.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Remember the one that grew wings and flew around?
The bat one? Yep.
Turned into a gargoyle on the side of the building in New York. It was so stupid. Remember when the film tore because the Gremlins were in the movie
Inside
theater?
the movie theater, back in the projection room.
And fucking Hulk Hogan's sitting there watching the movie.
Brother, you better knock it off up there. I'm going to come up there and Hulkamania's going to run wild.
Oh my God. It was so dumb, but I loved it
I
because
know.
I was the right age.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Why was it so different?
I don't know. I think there's a great Key and Peele episode about the writing room for Gremlins 2. Google it. It's hilarious.
Okay.
We'll watch
good.
it after the show.
All right. That's great.
So, of course, the first Gremlins, 1984. Second one, 1990. Starring your buddy Zach Galligan
Yeah.
and Phoebe Kate.
Yeah.
There's a movie that was put out, I think it was a short in 2017 called Gremlins Recall. No original cast was involved. I think it was just like maybe a fanfic kind of thing. But this is one where I was just like, oh man, Gremlins was my first idea when I proposed doing this story. Don't tell me I have to take it off the list because somebody fucked with it already.
You know, they did make, speaking of Max, the channel you don't watch, they did make a Gremlins cartoon.
Now I want live action.
Yeah. I didn't even watch it. Yeah. It looked weird.
Do you think they did the cartoon to test the water?
I don't know. Good question. Since when does Hollywood test the waters?
Fact.
Yeah, I'd take some more Gremlins. Love Gremlins. I had a picture of a Gremlin on my wall. Everybody liked the Mogwai. I'm like, fuck the Mogwai. I like the Gremlin. I got a statue of a Gremlin behind me.
3-foot statue behind you of Stripe.
Yeah, I love Gremlins.
Fantastic. Such a simple story. And it went so far. I mean, get them wet, multiply. Feed them after midnight, mutate.
Yeah, simple.
Put them in a microwave, they explode. It was all great.
One of my favorite scenes for part 2 is when they were hearing the rules and going, well, midnight in what time zone? Because it's always midnight.
It's fact.
I remember being a kid thinking that too. I'm like, well, it's always midnight somewhere.
We're in Central Time now. They know.
I love that movie was filmed in the same area, the same neighborhood, the same town that Back to the Future's clock tower was shot in Universal.
Vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time I go to LA, I'm going to do that Universal tour because they really do let you walk all around there.
Yeah.
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 One day before they tear it all down.
I think if you do the VIP tour.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think the regular tour, you don't get that much freedom.
I want to climb the clock tower. I want to try to...
So you would try to connect the cables?
Yeah, electric cables.
Doc, there's something I gotta tell you. It's about the future.
You and me should just go do that and just start filming that. And the tour guides will just be like, get down there from there, you bastards.
At least twice a day, two assholes come out here and do this.
That's so funny. Oh, that's great. All right, my next one is Big Trouble in Little China.
I almost don't want this touched.
No, I think Jack Burton has so much more to do. What other adventures does he get into?
Who's Jack Burton?
Nice. I was going to go, what? And then, oh, yeah.
Who's Jack Burton?
You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this? Who?
Yeah, I remember the commercial for that. It was. Who's Jack Burton? Who's Jack Burton? Who's Jack Burton? You remembering the commercial?
Yeah.
Or are you just remembering them saying that in the
Well,
in
that's
the movie?
from the line from the movie. That's what I was referencing.
I remember it from the damn trailer.
I love how you remember trailers better than movies.
It's all in the reflexes.
We ought to do an episode one day on commercials. I remember all the commercials. Those silly fucking stupid commercials that we grew up on. Some of them are so lost in our minds, but I seem to remember them. I was watching a YouTube show the other day of all these commercials. You forgot them. Like, nope, didn't forget any of them. Yeah, I was big into commercials. I bought everything they tried to sell me.
You are a product of the 80s.
Yeah.
The most commercial time ever.
Yeah, I was a little consumer.
Well, even at the end of it, they left it open for that trailer. When the Pork Chop Express is driving away from the building, there was a monster still on the back of the cab.
Oh, there was. I can't remember that.
Yeah, it was like a Bigfoot-looking guy, kind of.
All right, that's worth a rewatch.
For sure.
I haven't seen that in a while.
I just watched it a couple months ago.
Do you know that the Raiden from Mortal Kombat was designed on that
one of the 3 wins? Yeah, absolutely. Not the one that blew up like a Garbage Pail Kid?
No, I liked him too.
He was hilarious.
He did look like a Garbage Pail Kid when he got big.
He had steam coming out his ears. I don't think he's gonna stop.
There was a YouTube thing I just watched the other day. It was a Japanese woman listening to the words from Street Fighter.
I saw this pop up on my feed.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the video, though. Was it worth it?
It was fascinating because she's listening to him going, the quality's so bad, I can't tell what he's saying. So she got a lot of them. But then they jumped over to Mortal Kombat. And you know when Raiden goes like flying across, like, chopping broccoli! Like, I always thought he was saying chopping broccoli. And she's like, what's he saying? He's like, and she's like, I can't figure it out.
I think it's just gibberish.
Yeah, it might just be.
I saw on the preview of it, in Japan, it's Shoryuken. When Ryu does the tiger punch, it's Shoryuken.
Something like that.
And then like America was like, are you Ken? Like,
yeah.
What?
Are you Ken?
I was like, I'm not watching this, but it's funny that you did.
Yeah, I got through it.
I'll probably check it out at some point.
I was intrigued. I wanted to learn some Japanese.
My next one, and this hits home, I think, for both of us. I want to see Mystery Science Theater 3000 come back.
Doesn't hit home for me. Never cared about that show.
Really?
I watched a few of the episodes, thought it was okay, just never went back to that one.
You don't see a parallel between Mystery Science Theater 3000 and what we do in podcast form every fucking week.
Well, I like to think what we're doing is original, and nobody's thought of it but us. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't watch that. I know it was good. Brother Steve loved it, and I was like, I just cannot get into this.
So here's what I did find, and this is kind of a cheat for this to be on my list, but it debuted in 1988, ran for 13 seasons.
On Comedy Central.
The premise was mad scientists made this human and these 2 robots. One may have a gumball machine, one may have a lacrosse stick, have to watch these terrible B movies. In order to keep their sanity, they would make like mocking commentary on what's happening on the screen and how bad the B movie actually was. So at first, it didn't get picked up by Comedy Central right away.
It was a slow burn.
It was very much a slow burn. But apparently, I'm not the only one that would want to see this come back because in 2015, they did a crowdfunded revival with 14 episodes.
I didn't hear about it.
Yeah. And now, apparently, the creator of the show also did another 7 episodes in 2017. And he's working on something for 2020, or was working on something for 2022. He has his own streaming channel, but like I feel like it's just lost in the noise of streaming channels. But it sounds like he was trying to do something with the world of MST3K.
Can you imagine, like, you go on your Roku and you look at all your streaming channels and then, boom.
MST3K.
Yeah, like which one of these doesn't belong?
Yeah.
He tried to have his own streaming channel.
That's what I read, according to Wikipedia anyway.
Huh.
Did it launch? Is it still around? I have no idea. No follow-up.
Well, there's plenty of content to laugh at.
There is. I'm thinking of, like, even bad movies being put out right now. Movie Bowl, there's a whole fucking plethora of movies right there we could watch and make our own commentary on.
Yeah. All right, let's steal the formula and start see if we can make some money.
What are we calling it?
Mystery Science Theater. Trying to get all that keyword juice on the internet. Yeah. All right, you ready for my last one?
Yes.
This one could be controversial. And I love this movie, and I think you love this movie too. So this one, you might veto this one, and then I'll veto your veto. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Who Framed Roger? There is so much more in animation. Now, Bob Hoskins is dead.
Yeah.
Okay. But Roger Rabbit ain't.
No.
What other hijinks could Roger be up to? You wouldn't want to see that? I think it actually could still work. In fact, I'm surprised, other than that Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers thing they tried to do, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And some of this.
Acme, Coyote versus Acme was supposed to be half animation, half live action.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they fucking shelved it.
We're never
going to see it.
Doing that works. It's not NBA Jam. What the hell was that one called? Sky Jam or Space Jam. Like, I know that one worked. I know the sequel was a bomb.
Yeah.
But it's not because the style of animation with people doesn't work. It does. It just has to be funny.
So I like your idea of half animation, half real world. I don't know if I want it to be Roger Rabbit.
No?
Roger Rabbit just screams 90s and annoying to me.
Oh, you don't like him?
I don't care for Roger Rabbit.
Huh. All this time, I assumed you were a Roger Rabbit fan.
I'm more of a Jessica Rabbit kind of guy.
There you go. Hey, now. All right, so maybe it's an adventure in Toontown that's not Roger or...
You know my favorite character from that movie?
Baby Herman.
Oh, he was funny. The taxi. The cab.
Benny the cab.
Yeah. And the weasels were funny, too.
Weasels were good.
Yeah.
They were really good.
They were funny. But Roger was probably the weakest part of that movie for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Please, Eddie.
Too over the top. I don't need that. So 90s. He was as 90s as fucking Urkel.
Urkel. I just saw Urkel's coming back in a Star Wars thing.
Oh, probably.
He's playing one of the main dudes in that upcoming Star Wars for kids. What's it called? It's
Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew. He's one of the bounty hunters. Urkel.
I hope it's Stefan and not Urkel.
Oh my God. I had to think about what that was. You're making me remember Family Matters. That's right. Didn't
Stefan was the cool alter ego.
Right. God.
All right. Ready for my last one?
All right.
We'll wrap this up.
Yep.
More of a concept than just a show. I want my MTV.
Oh, you want to bring back MTV?
I want real music videos. I want pop-up video type style things. I want VJs. Do you think this could work in this current day and age?
I don't know why it ever stopped. One day you just stopped having music videos on MTV.
Everything just became fucking reality television.
Yeah.
It was Real World and Road Rules that turned that whole thing into just trash.
Well, what do you think killed it? Because those were just mini commercials. It basically was a channel running mini commercials to sell records for record companies.
The closest thing we have right now is Vimeo.
Vimeo. I know that is a YouTube competitor, but why is that?
No, maybe it's not Vimeo. Maybe it's Vimeo?
I don't know.
There's a channel on Hulu. I thought it was Vimeo. Maybe I'm way off base here. Maybe it's Vimeo, but they just show 80s and 90s music videos all the time.
Yeah, I want to know what that is. I would watch it.
Yeah.
Do they have a Headbangers Ball at midnight on Saturdays?
No, that's the thing. Like, I want to see. So you mentioned that maybe this whole thing coming out with Nothing But a Good Time documentary.
Yeah.
You said, I feel like you have more access to musicians now because of YouTube and things like that. Back in the day, the only access we had to musicians and celebrities was really through MTV.
And magazines. They were still
right.
rock
But
and roll
I'm talking about
magazines.
as far as like video, like you didn't have video access to musicians.
Right.
So now that there is YouTube, do you think there's still a spot for MTV? Or do you think it would just be why bother?
Man, I don't know. Why would kids not want to see first thing that popped in the head, Sabrina Carpenter, I think is a young,
Yeah.
Why would young kids not want to see Sabrina Carpenter videos?
Right.
As much as I still today would watch Def Leppard videos. Def Leppard could still be making videos and I'll watch them. Motley Crue just put out a video not too long ago and I was like, this is great. Like, there's still an audience for this stuff.
Jane's Addiction probably filmed a video for that new single they put out.
Oh, yeah, there's more coming out about that.
It's just a pay-per-view boxing fight now.
Yeah, apparently they hit each other backstage, too.
Yeah, one of the other guys like put Perry in a headlock and punched him in the ribs 5 times.
Yeah.
The original came out in 1981, and it has not aged well.
I have no idea why it went away. I know reality TV was growing and MTV started to go that way, like you said. And then VH1 started to be like, come to us for your videos.
Yeah.
And then they started doing reality shows.
I mean, even think about the MTV Unplugged and how big that was in like the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Like, just to have another outlet for musicians. Like, there's nobody doing Unplugged anything right now. There's no other alternatives.
Yeah, there's no music channels. There's no where you go to watch live performance. There's Access TV. Is that still around?
I mean, there's also that one channel I think you can get where you can actually watch a live concert performance. What was that one called? But it wasn't MTV. Like, there was nothing as centralized as MTV. The cult following of MTV pushed cable television access out to the masses.
And it died so fast.
Like, when I was a kid, everybody was still using rabbit ears and antennas on their house because cable didn't go to their part of the county or their part of the state. And then along comes this cable show, MTV, and people went fucking nuts and demanded cable.
I was a little kid watching MTV all the time because we had babysitters from, the neighborhood, and they're all teenage girls babysitting me. They're all watching. I got to watch MTV. Come to the house, watch MTV. And I'm just sitting there watching MTV with the babysitters. I remember watching Live Aid because I had a babysitter. Yeah, I mean, I grew up with MTV, and it just, the fact that it went away and nobody was like, hey, I'd still like to watch these music. Like, everybody seemed to get tired of music videos at the same time that they just shut down the format. And I never knew why.
Yeah. So this is not something that's gone away in name, but it sure as hell has gone away in concept.
Yeah.
So I submit this to the list for rebooting.
All right. It's accepted. What did I veto? I vetoed Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. We did pretty good.
Not bad. No doubles. I think we're going to have some doubles.
Well, if you're screaming at the radio, why did they say? Please write it in. Remember, you can go, if you're on Spotify or a lot of the platforms will have it, there should be a little link there for you to tap and send us a text. You can always go to didyouhearaboutthis.show and send us an email there. We'd love to get some of your feedback, and maybe we'll even read it on the air.
Yeah. Especially glowing reviews like we got earlier. That's fantastic.
Stupid, yet strangely satisfying. All right, well, that was fun. You want to get to the news? Well, moving into the news, before we get there, I got a bit of a story.
Oh, someone's been busy.
Well, I didn't look this up.
AI
My friend
did.
Jen. No, not even AI. My friend Jen sent this to me, and I thought this was interesting. I wanted to put this on the show. So I'm going to read you this little passage here. Tell me if you've ever heard about this.
All right.
All right. So every Apple computer, are you an Apple guy?
No.
All right, me neither. I always did Windows. Every Apple computer has a fuck you to the Beatles.
Why the Beatles?
So in 1968, the Beatles made a business called Apple Corps, like C-O-R-P, to be like Apple Corps, C-O-R-E.
Well, that's the name of their recording studio.
That's right. Right. So this business was made to help manage the Beatles and put their music out and all of that. But in 1976, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and a guy named Ronald Wayne, he's the guy you never hear about, started the Apple computing brand. By 1978, the Beatles sued the Apple Computer Company over the trademarks to Apple. All right. They settled by Apple Computers paying the Beatles $80,000. They mutually agreed that Apple Computers would never make music and Apple Corps would never make computers. Eventually, Apple added MIDI to their computers. You know what MIDI is?
I do.
Right? So now suddenly the computer can
Make music.
Make music. It can make sound effects and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's still musical. All right?
Sure.
Beatles caught wind of this.
They sued again?
They sued again.
Breach of contract.
Yes, breach of contract. That suit actually ran until 1991, evidently.
And it was probably settled for a lot more than $80,000.
Yeah, I don't have what that was settled for. So as Apple computers grew and we're, getting these personal computers and sound effects and all these functionalities are starting to grow, they had to create these little sound effects, just like Windows did. When you start up, you get the sound. Yeah. So Apple computers have something like a chime.
Yeah.
And this is the chime. All right. Maybe you've heard this. Maybe you haven't.
Sure.
One more time for the world. All right. So this chime,
Is every time you're playing this getting the Beatles more money?
I think so. Paul is listening. Paul and Ringo are listening. This is more of a show for Ringo.
Yeah, I think so too.
They're like, yeah.
Peace and love, peace and love.
And bank account deposits. So the Apple sound designer, Jim Reeks, wanted to call it Chime, but Apple Computer's legal department was too cautious. The lawyers told Jim the name of the sound could not be anything remotely musical. So he came up with a new name, Let It Beep.
Oh my God. That's the fuck you to the Beatles?
No, that got
okay.
The lawyer said, no, you can't do that either.
Okay.
So he named this new chime sound SOSUMI. That's the name of the chime. So it's SUSUMI.AIFF. Say that out loud.
So sue me?
So sue me.
So sue me. There you go. Jim Reeks asked his boss to send this update, the name So Sue Me, for this chime up to legal. But he said, hey, boss, don't send it in voicemail. I don't want them to hear the pronunciation of it. So the trick worked. They set it up. The legal, people said, that's great. I guess you could use that. And until 2020, that chime in Apple computers has been named sosumi.aiff. And that chime is heard all the time by people that love, and use Apples. And it's a fuck you to the Beatles.
I gotta say, I feel like this is the level of gotcha that a computer nerd would find funny.
I'm a computer nerd.
I kind of am too, but I'm like,
So sue me. I love it. So what do you think happened when Apple came out with Apple Music?
Right.
They broke the rule again. So Apple Corp actually sued Apple again when iTunes came out.
Really?
Yes. But they lost this time.
Was the Beatles catalog immediately available on Apple Music when it came out, or iTunes?
I remember that the Beatles were a little bit of a holdout to streaming.
I think you're right, because they were, and then when they did go, they had like the entire catalog was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like a very highly publicized big deal.
Yeah.
I think even the Apple commercials started having Beatles music on it.
After a ton of lawsuits, they're friends?
No, but they make each other money.
Well, every time you boot up your computer and you hear it, you go, fuck you, Beatles. From now on, that's what I want you all to do if you're an Apple user.
Fuck you!
It's just like one of those really deep underground type stories.
And it's the kind of thing that I'm surprised I didn't hear about before.
Really?
That's usually the kind of shit that lands on my, news feed or on my desk, or I hear something about it.
Well, I'm glad I taught you something.
Yeah.
Something so inconsequential, so useless. That's what our show is about.
That's why I do this show, Bill. Always learning, every day.
Yeah. Well, Jen was kind enough to send that. She also sent another story. I wasn't aware of this. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO, recently canceled 4 trademarks related to the term superhero, which were jointly owned by DC and Marvel since 1967. This ruling could significantly impact how superheroes are viewed and created in the future. The tribunal's decision followed arguments that the term superhero is generic and not exclusive to DC and Marvel. The companies failed to respond to the challenge in time, leading to the cancellation. This opens up the use of the term superhero to others, like us.
Yeah.
Although individual characters from DC and Marvel remain protected by trademarks. So you can't just use Spider-Man. It's just superhero.
Right.
Did you know that word was trademarked?
No. You know that the term droid was trademarked by Lucasfilm?
No. So what happened when the Droid phone came out?
They had to pay Lucasfilm money.
Why wouldn't they just name it something else?
Well, that's why they called it
money?
Android.
Android. So Droid became Android. I was an iPhone guy when Android was kind of coming up.
Yeah.
So I didn't pay that much attention. Right. Droid became Android.
Yep.
And Google owns Android, so Google owned Droid?
I don't know. I just know that there was some story there where Lucasfilm owned the term droid.
You got to think, if you're putting out an operating system or a phone or anything and you go, let's try Droid, and somebody says, no, it's not available. Save the money. Come up with a different name.
Yeah, for real.
Especially if you can't use like R2D2 in the advertising and you're calling it Droid. Like if you're licensing the word Droid, why not license the characters too?
Do you think Marvel owns the term mutant? Like mutant's a thing that happens in biology.
I don't know, man. I didn't know you could even trademark a word like superhero.
Yeah, it sounds like a compound word that is generic as can be. I agree with the tribunal.
Me too. We allow it.
The motion passes.
We will be changing our name to include the word superhero.
Did you hear about this superhero?
Are you still watching the Agatha show?
Yes, I am. Although I'm a week behind. I didn't watch the one that came out yesterday.
Have you heard about the leaks?
No, I have not.
I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, I
appreciate
promise.
that.
But it's another case of one of these toy companies. It's usually Lego.
Oh, yeah, they do this all the time.
This time it was Funko Pops.
Okay.
All right.
They've fucked up things before.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
Well, they did it again.
All right.
So we know that the character Teen, we don't
Billy.
know, we're assuming it's Billy. And the other character, Rio Vidal,
Yes, that is the one played by
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza. That's
I love
right.
her. Well, her true identity has come out.
I don't want to hear about it.
I won't
yet.
tell you
Okay.
anymore, but yeah. Like they ruined a big surprise.
They have been. They're great at that.
Why do you think that happens, man? Lego did it with the whole. Evidently, there was a scene in Endgame or Infinity Wars when Bruce Banner was in the Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
He was supposed to burst out of the Hulkbuster as the Hulk, and there's toys of that.
Yeah.
So at the last minute, the producers, the directors, everybody goes, well, let's not do that. But the toys are still being made.
They already came out.
So that's one time it happened that I remember. Do you remember any others?
Yeah, there were some Star Wars things that were ruined before because of Lego. I can't remember anything specific, but I know that there were quite a few things that were ruined because of Legos.
And do you think the studios say, listen, guys, you fucked this up before. Don't fuck it up again. Do not even say that. Don't even put the name on the box. But they're like, we have to put it on the box. We got to get production started.
When I worked at the toy store, they were very strict, do not put on the shelf until this date laws. And if your company was caught putting some shit out beforehand, they were like serious, like you wouldn't get the next run of toys. You wouldn't get the next video game. You'd be fined. Like it was a whole, and not just your store, but like the company wouldn't get, there'd be penalties like that.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. I think it sucks because the internet's going to like tell everybody. Once I saw it once and my algorithm was like, oh, Bill must be interested in this. I saw the spoiler everywhere online. So I'm glad you didn't see
this
it.
is why, like, and I don't really have a huge, like, care about Agatha if it would get ruined. Not that I'm asking you to tell me right now, but this is the kind of thing where for a show that I really want to watch, like when I was watching The Mandalorian and stuff like that, if I wouldn't watch it the day it came out or the day after it came out, I just can't go on YouTube. I can't go on my newsfeed because every other story is something that's going to ruin it for me.
Yeah, well, that's how I was because I wanted Deadpool and Wolverine to be a complete
Same perfect story.
Hide from the entire internet.
There's big swatches of my newsfeed I'm still not reading because we still didn't see Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's true. Right. If I see any story there, I just look away real fast.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so annoying.
I know.
And especially for a show that's like, I don't know if people are going to like the surprise or not, but like they need that surprise. That these shows need
That's the
to
hook.
It's the hook. You got it. Yes. And they just ruined it.
Fuckers.
Yeah, I'm not watching this show
Funko
still.
Pop.
I watch I said this last episode. Thank God for Screen Crush and those other shows that break it down because now I can watch the episode in like 10 minutes.
Dude, some of these Easter egg and these recap shows are longer than the episode itself sometimes.
Sometimes they go real deep.
They really do.
They're like, look into the back wall there. On the clock, there's a heart. That heart must represent something. It's like, no, it's just a clock with a heart on it, dude.
You said hard on.
You're a big Simpsons guy, right?
Yeah, I was talking about The Simpsons earlier today with brother Chris.
How do you feel about the series finale?
Series finale. Yeah, no, I heard about this. I didn't watch it. I haven't. This is a show that should have ended years ago.
Do you know it's not really the series finale?
Of course, because nobody knows why they aired the series finale now, and there's all this, whoa, what's going on? But yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah. No, yeah, I figured I didn't care.
I was the biggest Simpsons fan. I could tell you a lot of nerdy shit about The Simpsons.
I don't know anybody watching it now.
No, me neither. That's a problem.
Well, let me read this to you. The Simpsons leave fans shocked after airing series finale episode. End of an era, they say. If you're a fan of The Simpsons, you might have been confused when the latest episode, Bart's Birthday, dropped. It had this whole series finale vibe going on, and people seriously thought the show was coming to an end. Here's the thing, though. It was all parody.
Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-goddamn whoop-de-doo.
The Simpsons totally trolled us. The episode had Conan O'Brien as the host of what seemed like a big send-off for the show, which threw a lot of fans for a loop. But instead of an actual finale, it was more of a satire on typical TV series finales. They even used AI to generate predictable over-the-top plot points like Principal Skinner resigning and Mr. Burns dying. And of course, by the end, everything reset as if none of it ever happened.
Well, Principal Skinner is actually Armin Tamzarian, as we learned from many episodes ago.
What?
Yeah, Principal Skinner, his real name, he's from Capital City. His real name's Armin Tamzarian. The real Seymour Skinner was his sergeant in the army.
What, a couple episodes ago, this show?
No, it was like seasons. This is years ago.
Oh my God, I must have punched out before you.
Well, yeah. Then they took like the real Seymour Skinner and shot him out of town on a slingshot. And discussing this ever happened was punishable by slingshot or catapult, rather.
On another note, the another thing about the Simpsons, Simpsons got another news story going on.
Simpsons did it.
Remember that? Who was the guy? Bane. Oh,
Bane.
McBain. Remember he was.
McBain. Yeah, he was the Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Hey, McBain, your shoe's untied.
Up and at 'em, Fallout Boy.
Up and at 'em. Jiminy Jillikers.
Well, fans have figured out that if you take all the McBain clips that are scattered out through the entire show and just cut them out of the show and paste them together, you get a full episode, a McBain episode.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking great.
Man.
It's a McBain movie.
The goggles, they do nothing.
It says here people are losing it over the hidden gem that's been there all along. There's about 8 people losing it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
What a show, man. It really is. Talk about jumping the shark.
One of my favorite parody Simpsons episodes. Well, they did 2 really good ones. They did a Simpsons Behind the Music to talk about MTV and VH1 and how good they used to be with those documentary behind the music stories.
Yeah, I remember those.
Like the Motley Crue one where we learned about the ants getting snorted by Ozzy. They did a Simpsons Behind the Music, which was fantastic. But then they also did a Simpsons 135th episode spectacular.
Okay.
And it was hosted by Troy McClure, voiced by Phil Hartman.
Right.
And they would do like cheesy ass, like almost like
variety shows.
Yeah, it was almost like a variety show kind of thing. And then they would they would do like bumpers, like for the commercials coming in and out, like which famous Simpsons character died this past year? And they would say like Dr. Marvin Monroe or Bleeding Gums Murphy. And then you come back for the commercial. It's like, if you said Bleeding Gums Murphy or Dr. Marvin Monroe, you're wrong. These characters were never popular. And they would just be very self-referential and like self-depreciative. And it was a great episode just for almost exactly what it sounds like this was trying to do.
Yeah, nobody had died by the time I was finished watching Simpsons. I must have jumped ship early. So here's my next one. We were talking about concepts that get leaked from movies with toys, like I told you about the Avengers one. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So there's new art out by the guy who actually would draw what some of these scenes should look like. I guess
concept artist.
Concept artist, yeah. So they got him for Star Wars. They got all kinds of...
they storyboard almost everything, especially animated things.
So the guy who did this for the MCU, his pictures are starting to go out now. People are starting to see him. And there's a great fight scene drawn out at the end of Endgame where everybody's rushing Thanos. And remember, Smart Hulk is in there? Smart Hulk. It was originally going to be the big Hulk, the true Hulk, the guy who got his ass kicked in Infinity War by Thanos, getting his redemption.
Why'd they cut it, you think?
I don't...
to keep it going with...
I don't know. Remember, even the commercial had real big Hulk running at one point. They must have said, we're over budget. We better figure out a way to cheapen this. Let's change the Hulk story. And he's one of my favorite characters. And I feel like they neutered him. And they never returned the true Hulk. And it bothers me to know that it was meant to, like, the Endgame was meant to have a great Hulk redemption moment.
Well, we did do that story about Mark Ruffalo coming out saying that he doesn't know if he's ever going to play the real Hulk again because of the cost of the CGI, remember?
Yeah. Yeah, so it must be
maybe
expensive.
That was the period where they started really clipping his nuts off.
I still think about that movie all the time. That was one of the only movies in the last, I'll say 30 years, where I was blown away.
Yeah.
They did such a good job. But the way that they fucked up the Hulk, and now he's fucked up for the entire MCU.
Yeah, like that was when he hopped on the spaceship and just took the fuck off, right?
That was in She-Hulk.
Oh, no, I thought it happened before because That's how he ended up on Ragnarok, or that's how he ended up on the planet with Thor and
Yeah, the junk planet.
the junk planet.
Right, he got into one of the ships and flew away.
Yeah, he just took off.
Yeah,
And
that's
he
right.
was gone for a lot of movie.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't understand why they decided to change the Hulk into Smart Hulk. I hate Smart Hulk. Can't stand fucking Smart Hulk. Yeah, they really blew it.
Yeah, well, there's no going back, I guess.
I wonder if they can, because at some point Mark Ruffalo can't do any more of these things, right?
Well, it's all mocap, so why can't he?
Good point. I guess you could do that in your wheelchair if you get old. And,
Sure.
Yeah. But I know they have problems with getting the rights from Universal. So Disney has bought Fox, right? But Universal bought the Hulk franchise when Marvel was trying to like get cash because their comics weren't doing so well. So they sold some to Sony. They sold some shit to Universal. They sold some shit to Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Disney got some of it. So Disney's trying to collect it all, but Disney can't get Universal to play with them. So the fact that they were able to get Hulk into anything MCU, there's stories about that, like certain
There's really
storylines
weird
can
laws
work.
about it. There's like delineations of the Mississippi River. You can use the comic book art of the Hulk, but you can't use anything that Disney created that looks like their Hulk.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of bullshit like that.
Because Universal Studios still had a lot of superhero, which is not copyrighted. They had superheroes from from I'd say the MCU, but from Marvel Comics in their theme park. But Universal Studios also still has Simpsons Land, which is wholly owned by Fox, which is now wholly owned by Disney. So I can't see how they still have Simpsons Land inside Universal Studios Florida.
Yeah, I don't know. But when I saw the Red Hulk, I was thinking, oh, God, this is what they're going to do to get more Hulk episodes. They're not going to use the real Hulk. They're going to use the Red Hulk. I want to see the Green Hulk.
How could that be any cheaper if it was really a cost-cutting measure?
Well, Universal probably only bought the Green Hulk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they still had Thor, but it had to be Thor with, the winged helmet. Like the comic book Thor.
In the movie?
No, in their theme park.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess there's all kinds of, usage rules.
Yeah.
We'll never get a good Hulk. I'm going to die without a good Hulk. Oh, this is fun. I like this one. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis flops at the box office as The Wild Robot takes top spot. I love that I've never in my life heard of The Wild Robot, and it beat Megalopolis.
I have, because my son read it in school. The Wild Robot and The Wild Robot 2 were kids' novels he had to read.
Okay.
And he really enjoyed them.
Oh, good. All right. So it's something the kids know about.
The kids know, yeah.
I never heard of it. I just read that it got beat by something that I've never even heard of.
I love that Francis Ford Coppola put $140 million from his winery against this movie. He borrowed against the winery for this movie, and this is what we get.
Yeah.
And not only that, 20 markets across the U.S. are hiring a live actor to talk to the movie screen.
Yeah, right. Like we talked about.
Fucking dumb.
Yeah. I heard there was a sighting of him and Kevin Costner. They were at the bar drinking the other day, crying about all their
they're probably
failures.
asking people to buy them drinks because they can't afford any after they threw all their money into these flops.
Yeah, I mean, they lost a ton.
Jeez. Well, there's always streaming, fellas.
Yeah, maybe you'll make all your money back streaming.
Probably not.
Speaking of streaming and movies, did you know there was a movie out there with George Clooney and Brad Pitt called Wolves?
Yes, and it was almost not. It's only on Apple TV, though.
Turns out it is their most viewed movie ever on Apple TV.
I heard it was going to be great.
Really? This is another one I barely know anything about. I did notice they were doing a movie together, but it's Apple's biggest movie yet.
It was supposed to come out in the theaters, and then it was almost like a Roadhouse type deal where it was like, no, we're just going to stream it on Apple TV. But there is a sequel in the works that they're hoping is going to end up in the theaters.
I thought everybody was done with George Clooney and Brad Pitt. I did not think they were box office draws anymore.
I liked Ocean's 11.
I've never seen those.
Really?
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Damn it. All right, I'm going to put that on the list to watch.
You absolutely should.
Why are they good?
I like the character building. The character building's funny. Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12. Ocean's 13, not as much, but those were two very good movies.
Ocean's 13 had the women.
Maybe.
I remember there was a version of the Ocean's thing that was mostly women.
Really?
You would know better than me.
I don't know. I just remember Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12 were good.
That could have been a fever dream. I might have totally
Both
made
were
that
remakes of a Rat Pack movie with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin,
Never saw
Sammy
that.
Davis Jr. That was the real old one. That was the original Ocean's 11.
The only thing I've seen with Sinatra, Sammy, and the other guy was Cannonball Run 2. Like, that's all I know with those guys. That was the era that was just too early for me. Just missed that era. Being born in 75.
Well, probably the best thing about the Ocean's 11 movie is that the soundtrack was done by Billy Ocean. So it was all about Caribbean Dream and stuff like that.
Nah, you're fucking
Yeah, I'm totally fucking with you.
Get out of my dreams. Beep, 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 beep. Into my car. All right, we're going to end with this last story. This is the best story of all the stories. This will be a story that will stick with you forever.
Ooh.
All right? In fact, every single time you look at Will Smith, I want you to think about smelly farts.
So unlike right now when I look at Will Smith and all I think is, get my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Well, now think about it going at the end of it. All right.
All right.
So this is from Variety. Men in Black director says Will Smith is a farter. One fart was so bad we evacuated the stage for about 3 hours.
3 hours?
That's the headline.
He should see a doctor.
Let me read this to you. Men in Black director Barry Sonnenfeld appeared on the Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa. We need celebrities to stop making these fucking podcasts. Leave it for the amateurs like us. And he revealed the set of the 1997 action comedy once had to be evacuated for about 3 hours because Will Smith farted. According to Sonnenfeld, the incident occurred during the scene in which Smith and Jones, Tommy Lee Jones, who's a grump, are in a transforming car that travels at hyper speeds and flips over.
Through the tunnel.
Through the tunnel, remember?
Yeah.
In order to film the sequence, the two actors had to be hermetically sealed in the pod that was being used for the car.
I just thought that whole thing was CGI.
It's a fart car. So, quote, there are locks to prevent it from opening and falling, Sonnenfeld said. I say, roll camera, and I hear Will Smith go, oh, Jesus, so sorry. Tommy, so sorry. Baz, get the ladder.
So to stop the scene so they can get the ladder and get out of the car so he wouldn't be throwing up inside the scene because of a stinky fart?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And you hear Tommy saying, that's fine, Will. No worries, Will. Don't worry, Will. So we race the ladder over. Yeah, Tommy reaches his leg out as the ladder is coming over. He races down the stairs. And what happened was Will Smith is a farter. That's just what the guy says here.
Oh, my God.
The director continued, it's just some people are. And you really don't want to be inside a very small, hermetically sealed space with a Will Smith fart. You don't even want to be sitting next to him at the Disney Ranch. I don't know what that means. Sonnenfeld concluded, we evacuated the stage for about 3 hours, and that's incredible. No, he's, a lovely guy, just he farts. Some do, some don't.
Will Smith, he farts, he slaps.
I would be livid if I was a farter in Hollywood, if I was a Will Smith, and my old director just told the world, just went on a podcast and go, you want to know something? Will Smith has uncontrollable flatulence.
I think people turned on Will Smith long before they turned on Jack Black or Jason Momoa.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. There's a lot of celebrities that their careers are over these last couple of years.
Yeah, no shit, man. Wow.
My next story is about Jack Black as a farter.
Hot damn.
All right, well, that's all my stories, sir. We are done.
I feel like you did that last story just so I can drop about 13,000 fart sound effects in the background. And I love you for it. Thank you.
You know I did that for you.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. Glad you're telling people about us. I'm glad the show's growing. It's just a fun time to sit back and watch it all happen. Tune in next week, and we'll talk to you then. Don't forget, our show, really stupid, but somehow strangely satisfying.
Now are you satisfied?
No, just disappointed.